There is a common assumption about people who prefer the company of animals to people. The assumption goes like this: they are avoiding something, running from something, missing something essential that others have managed to secure. They lack social skills, or emotional resilience, or the capacity to navigate the complexities of human relationships. The preference is framed as a deficit, a retreat, a sign that something went wrong along the way. But that assumption misses the mechanism entirely. It confuses consequence with cause, withdrawal with incapacity, clarity with failure. The person who chooses animals over people is not running away from connection. They are running toward a specific kind of connection that does not require them to fragment in order to sustain it. They are not socially incapable. They are emotionally precise. And precision, in a world that rewards performance over presence, often looks like distance. The truth is simpler and less flattering to the social structures most people take for granted. Some individuals feel too much, perceive too much, and process too much to function comfortably in environments built on ambiguity, negotiation, and emotional theater. They do not lack empathy, they have an excess of it, and that excess becomes a filter, not a wound. It separates what is real from what is performed, what is stable from what is conditional, what nourishes from what drains. This is not about misanthropy, it is about criteria. When you can detect shifts in tone that others miss, when you sense insincerity before it reveals itself in action, when you feel the weight of unspoken intentions pressing against the surface of casual conversation, social spaces stop feeling neutral. They become minefields of emotional labor. Every interaction demands calculation. What is being said versus what is meant? What is expected versus what is honest? What will preserve the relationship versus what will preserve you? Animals do not create that friction. They do not operate in layers. A dog does not say one thing and mean another. A cat does not withdraw affection to test loyalty. There is no subtext, no hidden agenda, no performance required to earn their presence. What they offer is immediate, consistent, and grounded in behavior rather than language. They respond to how you act, not how you explain yourself. That simplicity is not a downgrade. For someone who spends their entire human life translating, anticipating, and managing emotional noise, it is relief. The person who prefers animals is not substituting human connection with something lesser. They are choosing a form of connection that aligns with how they process the world. They are not running from depth. They are rejecting shallowness disguised as depth. They are not avoiding intimacy. They are avoiding intimacy that comes with conditions, clauses, and the constant risk of betrayal dressed up as misunderstanding. Most people enter relationships to fill something. This person does not. They are not looking for completion, validation, or relief from loneliness. Companionship for them is a complement, not a necessity. That distinction changes everything. When you do not need connection to feel whole, you stop tolerating connection that fractures you. You stop participating in relationships where love is a transaction, where presence is currency, where affection must be earned daily through emotional performance. And this is where the shift happens. The preference for animals is not about giving up on people. It is about refusing to give up on peace. It is about recognizing that some forms of connection cost more than they return, and that the cost is not always visible to those who measure relationships by quantity rather than quality. The person who spends their evening with a dog instead of at a social gathering is not missing out. They are opting out. And the decision is deliberate, not defensive. They have learned something that others either refuse to see or cannot afford to acknowledge, that presence without pressure is rarer in human relationships than it should be. That consistency is more valuable than intensity. That love expressed through action, through daily care, through quiet responsibility, is more reliable than love expressed through words, promises, and declarations that evaporate under stress. Animals teach this without trying. They do not speak about loyalty. They demonstrate it. They do not promise to be there tomorrow. They simply are until they are not. There is no negotiation, no renegotiation, no revisiting of terms. The bond is built in repetition, in routine, in the small actions that accumulate into trust. And for someone who has watched human relationships collapse under the weight of unmet expectations, unspoken resentments, and the slow erosion of goodwill, that kind of stability is not trivial. It is foundational. This does not mean they hate people. It means they have stopped pretending that all human connection is inherently superior to non-human connection. It means they have stopped accepting the narrative that choosing solitude or choosing the company of animals is a form of social failure. It means they have recognized that their energy is finite, their tolerance for emotional chaos is limited, and their need for peace is not negotiable. They are not fragile. They are calibrated. They know what drains them and what restores them. They know the difference between loneliness and aloneness. They know that silence shared with a creature who asks nothing of you can feel more intimate than conversation with someone who asks everything and gives conditionally. They know that being understood is not the same as being seen, and that being seen by a pair of eyes that expect nothing but your presence is a form of recognition most people never experience. What people mistake for coldness is actually warmth that has learned to protect itself. What looks like detachment is discernment. What seems like retreat is actually refusal, a refusal to participate in relational systems that demand constant self-editing, constant vigilance, constant management of other people's expectations and emotions. They are not less connected. They are connected differently, and they are connected to what does not ask them to betray their own clarity in order to belong. The person who prefers animals has often tried the alternative. They have participated in friendships that required them to dilute their honesty. They have been in relationships where love was conditional on their ability to perform a version of themselves that fit someone else's needs. They have attended gatherings where the noise was mistaken for connection, where being surrounded by people only amplified the feeling of being alone. And, at some point, they stopped pretending that this was working. They stopped pretending that they were the problem, because they were not the problem. The problem was the assumption that one type of connection should work for everyone, that human relationships are always more valuable than non-human ones, that preferring simplicity over complexity is a sign of emotional immaturity rather than emotional clarity. The problem was a social framework that equates breadth with depth, that measures connection by visibility rather than impact, that cannot comprehend that some people feel more whole when they are not constantly trying to fit. So they choose the presence that does not drain them. They choose the companionship that does not require translation. They choose the bond that is built on action, not explanation. And they do not apologize for it. They do not justify it. They simply live it, quietly, steadily, with a sense of alignment that people who depend on external validation for their sense of self will never quite understand. This is not a failure of connection. It is a refinement of it. It is the recognition that not all relationships are worth the cost, that not all company alleviates loneliness, and that sometimes the most honest form of love is the kind that asks nothing in return except the chance to be present. That is what animals offer. And for the person who has spent years navigating the instability, unpredictability, and emotional weight of human relationships, that offer is not a consolation prize. It is exactly what they were looking for all along.